From the OU TV Broadcast Center in Los Angeles, California, this is Brief News Brief, a brief look at today's trending news topics, proudly combating the thought police since 2016. Here's your host, James Heaney.
I'm James Heaney, and this is your Brief News Briefing. Russia, Russia, Russia. It always comes back to Russia. A senior U.S. intelligence official told lawmakers last week that Russia wants to see President Trump reelected. Dadoy! Russia sees the Trump administration favorable to the Kremlin. Obviously. When he won in 2016, Russia had a massive celebration calling it the New World Order. Complete with Trump swag and Trump paraphernalia, Putin's been loving up on Trump since back in the 80s, when the Trump Tower deals talks started up in Moscow. But we already knew all about that, right? Yet even though it's completely obvious to everyone, when the info hit Trump's ears, Trump grew angry. He grew very, very angry. His acting DNI told this obvious fact to lawmakers on Capitol Hill in a classified hearing, and Trump considered it a personal act of disloyalty to him as dear leader. Trump thought to himself, how could Joseph Maguire speak to Congress about Russia's perceived preference? Doesn't he get it? I guess he doesn't get it. He's supposed to spin things and lie for the president. That's what working for Donald Trump means. Look at Roger Stone. He lied for the president, and Trump is ready to upend the justice system in order to be sure that he's rewarded for lying for the president. Trump is not even trying to hide his blatant disregard for basic democratic norms and standards. The man was exonerated in the Senate after a no-witness trial, and there's nothing holding him back. So it's not a great time to remind everyone that he and Putin are clearly BFFs. That stands, in case you didn't know, for best friends forever. Trigger warning, Trump announced Wednesday that he's replacing Maguire with a vocal loyalist, Richard Grenell. Because that's what Trump does. He hires loyalists. Trump has instructed aides to identify and remove officials across the government who aren't defending his interests, and he wants them replaced with loyalists. The briefing, which was ordered to all members of the committee, covered election security and foreign interference in the run-up to the 2020 election. Gee, sounds important. We don't want anyone trying to cheat their way into being the leader of the free world, right? Democracy, right? Coronavirus. Is it still a thing? Yep, it's still a thing. Current tallies? Well, who's counting? But the last I checked, 76,000 cases worldwide and 2,200 deaths. And wouldn't you know it, more drama and fallout with the 328 Americans who were aboard the quarantined Diamond Princess cruise ship. As of the beginning of this week, when these quarantined passengers were awaiting to fly back to the States, they were all free and clear of the virus. But not so fast. It turns out that a new test result showed that 14 of those passengers were infected with the virus. The U.S. State Department had promised that no one with the infection would be allowed to board the plane, because the plane would have, healthy, uninfected people. So what now? A decision had to be made. Let them all fly, or leave them behind in Japanese hospitals. A fierce debate broke out in Washington, D.C. The State Department and a top Trump administration health official wanted to forge ahead. Bring them home. Positive coronavirus be damned. Officials at the Center of Disease Control and Prevention disagreed, contending that they could still spread the virus. The CDC believed the 14 should not be flown back with uninfected passengers. So who won? The State Department, of course. They're the experts, dum-dum. The infected people got on a plane with healthy people in a mini-quarantined area behind some plastic barriers. Infected people are being flown back to the United States. This move nearly doubles the number of known coronaviruses in the country. U.S. health officials are improvising their response to a crisis with few precedences and extraordinarily high stakes. In the worst-case scenario, this coronavirus could become a full-blown global pandemic. So what will happen to the healthy folks on the corona plane? Will they be infected now too? Too early to know. Elmen Shido, have you heard of him before? For months, U.S. and Mexican officials have been watching him. He's allegedly a top figure in the Jalisco New Generation cartel. He was arrested in Mexico in 2015, and up until now, he's dodged extradition to the United States. Now, well, yesterday he was packaged up and put on an airplane bound for Dulles International Airport. It's really close to Washington, D.C. But he's not the only one. It's estimated that around 40 Mexican drug cartel suspects have been sent to the U.S. to face charges in recent weeks. So much for Guantanamo Bay. Bring them over. Bring the bad guys to U.S. jails. I guess U.S. jails are good enough now. So what prompted the uptick? In October, Sinaloa cartel gunmen stormed the city of Culiacan. I'm so sorry for any pronunciation problems. I'm terrible. I'm sorry. Forcing Mexican officials to release the son of Joaquin El Chapo Guzman shortly after his capture. Weeks later, assailants massacred 3 women and 6 children, all dual U.S.-Mexican nationals, in northern Sonora state. So in November, Trump threatened to designate, to designate Mexican cartels as terrorist groups, and it appears to have given him considerable leverage. Granted, he's not sending them to Guantanamo Bay with the other terrorists. Mexico wasn't too keen on this label. The compromise? Well, you're looking at it. Elmen Shido was one of the most important figures on the U.S. list of alleged traffickers. He's the son of El Menchito, leader of the Jalisco cartel, viewed as one of Mexico's most powerful drug organizers. The Justice Department has described the younger Elmen Shido as the second in command of the cartel.
Newsman, get your newsman. Come on, newsman, tell me the news. Tell me the news. Tell me the news. Newsman, get your newsman. Come on, newsman, tell me the news. Newsman, get your newsman. Come on, newsman, tell me the news. Tell me the news. Tell me the news. Newsman, get your newsman. Come on, newsman, tell me the news. News.